life. Now, in this life, first, regarding each of the award-winning companies, we'll have you take a look at their videos. And in the videos beforehand, we asked them some questions. And in the video, they are giving us the answers to these questions. After that, we will be answering questions from yourselves to deepen our understanding of the corporate strategies. And please use the Zoom Q&A function to ask your questions. First, let's go to TORIDOLL Holdings, to the president, Mr. Awata. What's the uniqueness of Marugame Seimen?
手作り、できたて、臨場感にこだわり、毎日塩と水と小麦粉からうどんの生地を作り、店内で
the noodle dough, and in the restaurants, freshly made cut and boiled noodles are served. We are a self-service udon noodle business. We were founded in the year 2000, and though the restaurant market is shrinking, we have been growing. Currently, in Japan, in 47 prefectures, we have some 860 restaurants. Overseas, in 2011, we opened our first overseas store in Waikiki, Hawaii. And since then, mainly in Asia, we have opened some 230 restaurants overseas, so we have more than 1,000 restaurants all over the world. Regarding the good taste, the noodles are freshly made, then boiled. First, udon in Japan has long been a familiar daily dish, so we wanted to provide it at a reasonable price, as much as possible. That's the feeling we had first and foremost. Over the past few years, the sales per customer has gone up by around 50 yen. A bowl of udon starts at around 290 yen, and tempura and other toppings start from 100 yen. These are reasonable prices, and customers can combine them freely to enjoy a bowl of noodles at around 600 yen. That's the idea. In running a business, what's important, of course, is how do you grow sales, keep costs down, and retain profits. That's what businesses usually focus on. In the case of Marugame Seimen, we feel strongly about investing in time and effort. This creates value and is a mechanism for attracting customers. Because our noodles are handmade, our personnel costs and education costs are high. And to serve our noodles fresh, our pots are always boiling. Our energy costs are about twice as high as an ordinary restaurant. In addition, we invest in noodle-making equipment. We have to secure space. Even if it entails costs, we wanted to recreate a noodle-making kitchen just like in Sanuki and have customers enjoy tasty noodles. We want to make customers happy. We've been running our business based on this concept. And as a result, customers choose Marugame Seimen and come to our restaurants. And thanks to this, we enjoy sales, which absorbs costs and generates profit. That is our business model. And this makes it possible to serve products that are handmade and freshly served at a low price. How do you ensure the same taste for menu items, regardless of the restaurant? To ensure a certain level of quality, the central kitchen method is effective. That's true. However, we feel very strongly about taking time and trouble. This creates value and becomes a mechanism for attracting customers. Therefore, it's all up to the skills of our people. And that's why there may be some difference in quality, some discrepancies. Of course, we should not tolerate this. However, we don't come up with a certain passing grade and aim for it. We feel that we should do the best possible every day. To be more specific, even if our staff have no experience, they should be able to serve customers and cook. We have manuals for each standardized step of the process. In a short time, we make sure that staff can learn the skills necessary, starting with how to open the bags of flour and what to do with the empty bags. We have created an environment with detailed explanations so even inexperienced staff can work properly. However, we do not have manuals that are overly detailed. We encourage workers to think for themselves and take action. We want them to respond flexibly to the customer in front of them. Regarding education, education takes time, but if our staff are creative, then that will mean it's worth doing and will lead to better quality in our stores. That's what we strongly believe. And also, we have noodle masters. They visit our restaurants all over Japan and teach not just how to make noodles, but how to come up with new menus, how to serve customers. And recently, we started our noodle craftsman system, and we're doing our best to train them up. A noodle craftsman is a title given only to staff who have passed rigorous tests. And because our noodles are handmade at each store, there's a discrepancy in the taste. That's something that cannot be helped. But to decrease this discrepancy and provide tastier noodles, we started this system of noodle craftsmen. The noodle craftsmen have knowledge regarding flour, water, and salt, the mechanism of making tasty noodles. They also know how to adjust manually when you make good handmade noodles, and how to boil noodles and finish them in cold water. So they know a variety of things about udon noodles. They wear uniforms with navy collars and also blue hats. And among all of the noodle makers across Japan in particular, Marugame Seimen aims for chewy, tasty noodles. And these noodle masters and craftsmen have mastered the skills for making them. Other than at the restaurant where we prepare and cook, to decrease the discrepancy, once every few hours, they check the quality, service, and cleanliness. What kind of growth do you envision in the future? These past few years, we tried to go back to the basics, to go after the original attractiveness of Marugame Seimen, what's called the Marugame eating experience in our stores. And this has enabled us to maintain our excellent performance. In the future, we plan to continue opening new stores and attract single customers and couple customers who want to eat in at our restaurants, as well as takeout menus, and look into the possibilities, a variety of new possibilities, and forge forward. Recently, customer values and lifestyles have been changing. In addition, we see growing demand for eating at home or eating takeout at home, and will probably see the borders between eating in and eating out gradually disappear. In this environment, more than ever before, functionality and convenience will be demanded by society. Consumers want to eat something tasty. This desire will never change. And we believe that the value of eating out will remain unchanged. Going forward, we want to provide a sense of the real thing, handmade, freshly served. That's the value we will provide to differentiate ourselves and to go after further growth. So what kind of questions do we have, Professor Osono? Yes, people who have pre-registered have been able to ask questions using the Q&A function, so let's go right into it. From Ms. Shiromayaka, why can the other companies not do this? So this is like right on regarding competitive strategy, but why? So as the first question, this is a wonderful question. Earlier on, as we heard in the video, Professor Porter was saying he created this area of competitive strategy. And the first conceptual definition is a strategy is creating differences with the competition. Therefore, Marugame Seimen has created a difference. And why are the others unable to do the same thing? But more than that, they don't want to do it. Therefore, Marugame Seimen can maintain its uniqueness. For example, as we heard from Mr. Awata, they do not use a central kitchen. And even a layman can tell. So this is where you most want to use a central kitchen. So the udon noodle category is a category where you want to use a central kitchen and use freezing technologies. However, Marugame Seimen does not. And what's more, if you do handmade at the stores, it takes about 15 minutes to boil the noodles, which means if you have been there, you can imagine very easily, but the customer gives his order and then you hand the food over to the customer. So before the customer places his or her order, they have already started boiling the noodles. So they need to be very accurate in their prediction of demand. And at Marugame Seimen, intentionally, they are doing the troublesome things, the irrational things that other people do not want to do. And intentionally, they are going after it. Therefore, there are no other companies emerging who are doing the same thing. I think that's what's happening here. And the next question, please. Yes, the next question. Their prices are cheap, so 570 yen is the average spend per customer. It's the same if you eat lunch at a fast food. People talk about 1 coin lunches. Their price range is similar. It's low price, but they're low price and yet they have high profits. So if it's low priced, you tend to go into a commodity competition and it's difficult to be unique, but they have low prices but high profits. How do they manage to do both? That was a question from Ms. Yonezawa. Low price, high earnings, plus, like I mentioned before, Marugame Seimen's strategy is they are taking costs, they are making investments. So how are they able to enjoy profits that are far above the average in the industry? This is a mystery. This strategy is wonderful because, from my perspective, they have put time on their side. For example, their turnover rate of customers. Probably, compared to fast food stores, the turnover of customers is probably quite high. That's one of the strengths of udon noodles. Therefore, so the amount that each customer spends may be low. However, the amount of time they spend in the store is probably quite short. So you see maybe 2 times, 3 times more customers come to their stores in the same time slot. That's how they are able to enjoy the sales. And at the core is their udon noodles, but other than that, they also make their tempura in the store. So these toppings are steadily where they can get their profits. And I think that's another big factor. And lastly, regarding the time, the frequency of the customers coming to their restaurants. For example, it's different from fast food. It's not that bad for you. And from small children to elderly people, everyone will come and eat udon. So because of all of this, they're willing to invest, and even at low prices, they can make these profits. That's all. Okay, thank you very much. And the third question, the men or noodle craftsmen or the noodle maestro, I'd like to ask about them. This is a question from Sawazaki-san. So I think this is very important in your human resource training. How did you start these systems? And now we really want to have the president, Mr. Awata, answer this. So what we did was, so Sawazaki-san, I have to apologize, but let me change the question. There's only one noodle maestro, and there is lots of other noodle craftsmen, but it's the noodle maestro who decides on the official taste, which means that since there's only one person, doesn't this lead to so-called key person risk? Well, the question, before you changed it, maybe I can answer that first. Earlier on, we talked about how they do not use a central kitchen, or there is a unique operation at Marugame Seimen. And in the video, Mr. Awata was saying, there are discrepancies, and it's because human skills have to be used to supplement this. Therefore, it's very systematic, and investments are needed for training up the noodle craftsmen. But strategically, this is necessary. And this is creating a good cycle which strengthens their strengths. And the second question about the noodle maestro, and I'm just assuming here, but probably for people who have more than 2 watches, they do not know the accurate time. The taste is the important factor here. And with simple numbers, you cannot defactor it and analyze it. So n equals 1 all over Japan. He's checking, and that's actually better, because they can maintain one standard. It's easier to maintain the standard. That is what I assume is happening. That's all. Okay, is that all? Yes, thank you. So in order to get my children to school quickly without being late, my clock in the living room is 5 minutes early. Oh no, that's okay. As long as you're looking at only one clock, you should be okay. If you have 2 or 3 watches, you don't know what time it is. I see, thank you. Okay, Marugame Seimen, regarding their businesses, could you please summarize in a few words? Well, I didn't win the Nikkei prize, so maybe it's not my position to say, but I love noodles. And this is a strategy regarding udon noodles. And Professor Porter came up with this competitive strategy. I've been working in this. And we've been looking at the strategy of various wonderful companies, and in particular, Marugame Seimen. So this is the rational part of irrational. So they have chains and large-scale operations, and they want to do it with udon noodles. There must be lots of people who came up with this idea, but based on the success of Marugame Seimen, there are lots of other companies who want to be newcomers. However, what they don't want to do, what they cannot do. So Marugame Seimen is so irrational, and yet that is the powerful rational part. And I think it's a wonderful strategy. I was very moved. Now let's move on.
So that was about TORIDOLL Holdings, and next we will move on to Milbon. Please watch the video. Milbon holds the leading share of hair care products at beauty salons. What is the strength of the company? Hello, I am Sato from Milbon. For over 60-some years, we have been focusing on beauticians and beauty parlors. And in this area, we have been doing business. And I believe that is the true strength, the number one strength of Milbon. And secondly, we have what we call the Milbon way, which is shared by all employees. This is our philosophy, way of thinking, the way we do business, and also our vision towards the future. Now, I would like to show you something here. We have something like this. It's just one piece of paper, but here, at the very bottom, we have the Milbon-ism, which includes the founder's conviction, which is to create Milbon into a resilient company. And the Milbon-ism focuses on the forefront of business, listening to customers, and being self-reliant. And based on that, we have had our focus. We narrowed down. So we focused on beauty. And our business is narrowed down into the beauty area. So we don't expand, but we are limiting in order to deepen our focus. And based on that, we have our management philosophy. I believe all companies will have management philosophies, but for us, the ism is at the basis of our management philosophy, and then we have our corporate statement and slogans, which are the promises we have for our customers. Now then, how do we do our business on a daily basis? And the business model we have is what creates our strength. And that is the TAC product development system where we have the customer's viewpoint or the beautician's viewpoint. We start from the concept stage. We always face our customers when we develop products. And the products that are created, together with beauty techniques and knowledge, our field persons will take them to the beauty salons. We don't call them salespeople, we call them field persons. They are the ones that go out to the beauty salons and also provide training. Well, then, what kind of human resources do we want? We have the requirements here. And with the human resources, toward the future, we create our global vision. And we also explain why we have this vision and what are we aiming for. So all that is written in this piece of paper as Milbon Way, and all 1,000 employees always carries this with them so that they can always think about how they do their business so that they can fulfill their mission. And I believe that is creating the strength of our company. And Milbon's vision. We have our short-term policies, we have our mid-term concept, which covers 5 years, or a span of 5 years, and then we also have the long-term vision. So we have these 3 time scales for our visions, and all employees will be sharing that along with our Milbon Way as we carry out our activities. And I believe that's what makes us very strong. Doesn't the recent launch of your e-commerce sites pose a conflict of interest with your business? Well, we see digitalization and e-commerce, EC, is becoming a norm. And Milbon, from 3 years ago, we have started our research on how we can carry out EC. We are not carrying out e-commerce for B2C. What we are doing is a B2B2C type of business. This is a new e-commerce model. So Milbon's market is being created by this. And our customers, the beauty salons, would come into this marketplace. And we have these transactions between the beauty salons and their customers, which is being supported by Milbon. That is our new style of B2B2B, B2B2C e-commerce. So there is no conflict of interest. This is a win-win kind of relationship. A beauty salon business is a face-to-face business. You can't cut someone's hair over the internet. So how do you create beauty on a daily basis? We are hoping that by using Milbon products, that would lead to an increase in the beauty salon's revenues. And what kind of growth do you see in the future? Milbon, since 2010, has upheld its global vision. I've talked about this a little bit, but the last part of Milbon Way, we have our vision, which includes the global vision, and we also explain why we have this vision. One is, well, in the past, we have been focusing on just the Japanese market, but now we are turning our eyes toward the global market, the global stage. Milbon, over the 60 years, we have just focused on hairstyling. How can we care for people's hair at the beauty salons? But starting last year, and actually we started thinking about this in 2002, but actually from 2014 we've started preparing, and after 5 years, in 2019, we've decided that we would launch a new business in the cosmetics field. And beauty salons will not be a place where you only have your hair styled. Yes, of course, your hair needs care and that makes you beautiful, but we also are focusing on the mindset. We want to make sure that the beauty salon customers could be cared for, which means health. And we want to see our business expand through this. And lastly, because we are taking this B2B2C type of business, our focus or target tends to be the beauticians, but we need to look at the customers beyond the beauticians, the ordinary citizens, and I believe that would be very important. And in the end, I believe we need to focus more on skincare toward the future. So beauty and mindset. So the beauty salon will be a community to care for beauty and the customer's mindset. And we want to support the beauty salons so that the beauty salons can become a platform for beauty and mindset. And I believe that that would lead to the prosperity of the beauty industry as a whole. Well, that was Milbon and Professor Osono. Can you pick up some questions? Yes, this is a question from an anonymous person. So we often tend to focus on from product to services, and I believe that this is wonderful. But the field persons who visits the beauty salons to provide advices, and the beauty salons services will improve, and also the hair care products will sell more. So you have this virtuous cycle. But this consultation service, maybe you can take that out and establish that as an individual business, but what do you think? Well, yes, when I learned about Milbon's strategy, that's the first thing that I came to mind. So that's a very good question. However, as we listen to the president of the company, it seems that Milbon first, they develop and make hair care products, but it's not the public that they are selling to. They are selling to the beauty salons, the professionals. They are focusing on the professional market. And I believe that's creating the trade-off, according to Professor Porter. Now, usually, we are trying to take away the end users from our competitors if we focus on the consumers, and if we are selling shampoos and other hair care products to the consumers, it means that we will be taking away the business opportunities from the beauty salons. So if you are doing both, you won't be able to have a clear focus on the beauty salons. And the target are the beauty salons and the beauticians who work there. So what is it that this company is selling to the very enthusiastic beauty salons? Milbon is selling the opportunity and weapons to increase their sales and profit. I believe that is the concept of Milbon, which means that they are developing human resources, the know-how that Milbon has accumulated, that is being sold to the beauticians. Yes, they can go into the consultation business like that. And so to the president, I actually asked that question. But it seems that Milbon is developing from the customer's perspective, and because they have their product, their consultation becomes really strong. Increase in sales and profit for beauty salons is about new technologies. For example, hair coloring. If you have new technology for hair coloring, how you dye your hair and other technologies. So if you use Milbon products for that, and if Milbon instructs the beauticians on how to do that, so something that the super-duper hair designers can only do will be carried out at ordinary beauty salons. Probably that's the pattern that you will see. So the consultation has to go hand in hand with the Milbon products. So what does this mean? Well, next to my house, there is this hair salon managed by a hair designer. Actually, it's it's my next door neighbor, but and this hair designer has the high-end technology. Actually, she went to Milan in Italy and worked under Armani. So from her perspective, Milbon is a threat, she says, because the state-of-the-art technology that she has, with Milbon's product and Milbon know-how, anybody can do it, which means that she loses her leading edge. So, for the beauty salons, Milbon is creating new opportunities for increased sales and increased profit. And actually, my next-door neighbor, the beautician, if I go to your beauty salon, what will you do for me, I asked. She said that I have nothing that I can offer you. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, even with Milbon's technology, I don't think anybody can do me any good hair care. Well, yes, there are market segments that can't be reached even by Milbon. I believe I have to go to a wig manufacturer. Well, now you talked about the products, but in the area of skincare, there's a question here. So you first said that you were not focusing on hair care, but now you are spreading out into the skincare area. But then wouldn't you lose the unique nature of your strategy? This is a question from Shioiri-san. So yes, Milbon and Kosei, they have tied up and they are using Kosei technology in order to develop their skincare products, which will be sold at the beauty salons. Professor Kusunoki, do you think that was a good idea? Yes, I do think it is a good idea, and I believe that this is a great idea. So probably the questioner is worried that their narrowing down focusing strategy is going to be relaxed. But Milbon, what they are selling is not the hair care products themselves. They are selling this opportunity for increased profit and sales. So they are working for the beauticians and beauty salons. So the skincare products, which is developed together with Kosei, I think this would also provide opportunities for the beauticians. It's not just techniques about doing your hairstyle, but it's about providing new value to the customers, to make the customers want to use these products when they go to the beauty salons. I think this is a very important value. So, and I think Kosei, by tying up with Milbon, they are getting this unique opportunity. And for Milbon as well, they will continue their hair care product line, but they now have this new line of skincare products. And I think this is really aligned with their unique strategy. Well, then maybe if you go to your next-door neighbor's beauty salon, I think you can use the skincare products. Well, yes, I think that's something I can still use. Now, the third question, it seems this narrowing down in the strategy and also the growth that is being sought. And also, I wasn't able to ask this for the Marugame Seimen presentation, but focusing means, does this mean that you are not seeking scale? Or if these two do not overlap, can you tell me why? So they are spreading out into the skincare area. Milbon is already a leader in the hair care product sector. They have this very mature system. They are a leading company in this area. But in order to grow without changing their strategy, how can we think about the growth scale? Well, this is my personal opinion, but yes, their strategy is complete, because if you look at their business performance, it's really high, and it has been maintained over years because they have been able to provide and create a unique value to their customers. So it is very complete. How can they grow even further? Well, yes, they may expand into the skincare area, but more than that, I think rather than spreading out widely into other product area, but they are now looking at the global market. I believe the president said that since 2014 they have been looking at the overseas market, but the strategy and the story that they have completed here in Japan, they are trying to roll that out into the international market. This is not a product like semiconductors or automobiles. This is about services. This is about the software and thinking. So the strategy usually has to be modified when they take it out to overseas. We have seen that in the past. Many companies had to tweak their strategy when they take it out overseas. But Milbon is going to take their domestic strategy out into the Asian countries next. And if this goes well, I believe they will be able to launch into this greater market and maybe have a similar success there as they have here in Japan. The sales ratio between Japan and overseas, in their IR presentation, they show a very bullish targets. I do think that they have potential to grow overseas. Now then, one final comment about this company. Well, I think the basis of the strategy, as Professor Porter says, that basis and strategy is being really rolled out strongly, implemented strongly. They have a very unique definition about their customers. They have this clear trade-off between what they do and what they don't do, and they have narrowed down their focus. And that's why they can spread their business even further. And I'm hoping that Professor Porter can, if he's going to rewrite his book on strategy, I'm hoping that he can include Milbon in his case studies.
So, let's wrap it up about Milbon and move on to YOHO Brewing and listen to President Ide. And as you saw earlier on, Professor Ido is dressed in an unconventional way. And what is his costume? We asked you to download this earlier on. So this is the activity system map. And this activity system map is his costume that he's expressing with his whole body. Now, does this fit into the definition of a costume? Leaving that aside, let's look at his video. What is the uniqueness of YOHO Brewing as a craft beer manufacturer? Hello, this is Ide from YOHO Brewing. We have lots of unique characteristics, but 4 main ones. 1. We are an entertainment business with beer at the center. We are not an ordinary beer manufacturer. We provide entertainment as well. That is our first characteristic. Second, we are a manufacturer specializing in pale ales. Large manufacturers have been making lager beer, especially a type called Pilsner. But what we do is we make what the large manufacturers don't, beer with a richness and aroma. We specialize in pale ales. sales. Third, we have a national sales network, which is unusual for craft beers. We sell mainly in convenience stores and supermarkets. Usually, craft beer manufacturers will sell at their own brew pubs or in the local business area, but we do this nationwide. Lastly, number 4, we have the #1 manufacturing capacity for craft beer in Japan. If you want to have nationwide sales channels, you need that kind of scale. So number 4, as a result, we were forced to have the largest manufacturing capacity for craft beer in Japan. What enabled Yahoo, a craft beer manufacturer, to expand its scale of operation? To go after our mission, to realize our mission, we are expanding our scale. Our mission is bringing good taste to beer and happiness to life. What does this mean? In the past, the Japanese beer industry only had a uniform type of beer. We wanted to provide variety, to create a new beer culture, and bring happiness to beer fans. That's our mission. And to realize this mission, we do need a certain level of scale. Trying to change Japan's beer culture in small local business areas is difficult. Therefore, we wanted to spread our sales channels across Japan and change beer culture. And by providing various beers and being active and engaging in activities over a wide area, we want to bring happiness to as many beer fans as possible. Because of this mission, we are expanding in scale. What's the role of Kirin Brewery as a manufacturing consignee? We are a beer manufacturer, and yet, like an IT company, our sales have been growing very rapidly. Which means, if we try to do everything ourselves, then the capital investments and time needed for our manufacturing facilities, they just would not be realistic. To support our rapid growth, we couldn't do it alone. We had to find some other way, and that's when Kirin Beer came to us and offered to produce beer for us, when orders exceeded our in-house production capacity. Kirin Brewery is a world-class food manufacturing company, and their technological capabilities are excellent. They can make beer that tastes exactly the same as our beer. So this means that when orders exceed our production capabilities, we can outsource the manufacturing to Kirin Brewery. And they are truly an amazing best partner. That's the kind of relationship we have. Yahoo Brewing has many enthusiastic fans. How do you connect with your customers? This has to do with our unique characteristic. We are an entertainment business with beer at the center. We don't just make beer, we provide entertainment. We want to have a lot of contact points. For example, let's see. To use the analogy of internet shopping, when questions come in from the customer, we don't just answer the question simply, we talk about a lot of other things. We provide surprises that move the customer emotionally to build customer relationships. And we also host interesting events on our EC site. That means people don't just come to our website and press the button and beer pops out like a vending machine. That's not the case. We have a lot of interesting things that make customers want to see more. We have a lot of interesting pages, so customers stay at our website for a long time. And we also hold a lot of events for fans. We're constantly thinking, when we build diverse relationships with customers, not just through serving beer, but how can we make fans happy? What can we do? For example, when they're drinking beer at a large event, they'll be surrounded by Mother Nature, and fans will be drinking beer, and there'll be music playing in the background, and they'll feel relaxed and healed and comforted. And they'll realize that there's more than just buying beer in supermarkets. There's more to it than that. They can enjoy beer like this as well. And through the website, or through email, or in real life, we have various contact points with customers, and we've steadily accumulated these contact points, and that makes us what we are today. And that is how we build our relationships with our fans. What's the fun part of craft beer? First, we provide a wide variety of beer. That's fundamental. The large manufacturers make lager beer, and that's the Pilsner type. Like you know, it's the clean, refreshing type. It's great in summertime. So this is pretty much mainstream, but we provide variety. For example, we have beers with rich aromas, or we have beer that is very, very bitter. We have beer with a profound richness. We have fruity beers. We have lots of different types of beers. And fans who had only experienced refreshing beer in the past, they now enjoy beer that has a taste they like, that matches the situation that they're in. That's the basics. And other than that, another of our characteristics is our entertainment business centered around beer. For example, by doing something interesting on the internet, fans will say, "Oh, this company makes good beer, but this is also really interesting, this is fun," and they'll have a good time. At real-life events, our staff will do the planning and run the events. At these events, fans will drink beer, music will be playing, and the fans will connect with our staff. Or fans who never knew each other before will connect with each other and become friends. There's that kind of enjoyment. And at fan events, we have beer classes. For example, how will a different glass change the aroma of the beer? How is beer made? And by learning at these classes, at events, fans won't just be drinking beer, they'll feel how profound beer is, and their intellectual curiosity will be tickled. So it's not just drinking beer. There's that kind of enjoyment as well. And by holding these events, surrounded by nature, people will feel content and healed. And they'll feel, this is the kind of peacefulness I was looking for. So, offering a wide variety of tastes is fundamental. But other than that, through entertainment, we can provide an enjoyable time and space. And we believe this is the unique enjoyment that we can provide through beer. How has Yahoo's competitiveness been affected by being on the Best Company Awards, a Great Place to Work ranking for the 4th straight year? We want our staff to have high levels of motivation and be independent. And if this is a great place to work, people will stay motivated, and they'll start to think independently and engage in a variety of business activities. That's a good impact. Other than that, we are a small company with about 150 people, but we want our staff to work with us for as long as possible. And if we are a great place to work, then they'll feel loyalty to our company, and they'll continue to work with us for a long time. We think this is very important. And then there's a very good impact on our hiring activities as well. Wonderful human resources come and join us every year, and I think they're attracted by the fact that we are a great place to work. If we were a so-called black company that exploits its employees, then no one would want to come, even if we had great earnings. So we are a small company, the budget to spend on people is limited, so being a great place to work is good for our staff as well. Other than that, our activities exist thanks to our beer fans. And if we offer a great place to work, then our staff take part in events together with our fans and try to offer our fans hospitality. We do that very frequently. And then when that happens, if it's a great place to work, then they won't just serve beer, they'll come up with new contents to offer the fans, so that fans will have a good time. And they'll create such contents and disseminate them, which means when they do a lot of things for our fans, then of course the fans will respond. The fans will look happy. And when our staff see these happy-looking fans, then the staff will feel even more motivated. And they'll feel, next time, I want to make even better tasting beer to serve these fans. I want to make the next one a great event. And the staff will feel even more motivated and create even more fun events. And this means that the fans, compared to before, will have an even better time and become even better fans of our beer. So I call this a good circulation, a good spiral up. So this is a spiral that keeps on going up, an endless spiral. And this has a deep relationship with our being a good place to work. And in this system map, we believe that our company's corporate culture is most important. This corporate culture is the starting point. If a company is a good place to work, and this is a good fit with all the other activities, we felt that we really have to aim to become a good place to work. And originally, through beer, we wanted to make fans happy. But for our employees to feel this way, they need to be happy too. They need to be enjoying themselves, the staff as well. Otherwise, they will not be able to get across to our fans. So, our employees need to be motivated and happy. So, we felt that if we did this, the employees would become happy and fans would become happy. So, I think this was a good spiral. And I think doing this was the right thing. Thank you very much. Yes, that was the presentation from Yahoo. And Osono-san, do we have questions? Yes, the costume. You saw the little yellow highlights going around. So it was our production side who worked really hard to add those little highlights. I wanted to mention that. Now, turning to the questions. Towards the end, he talked about being a good place to work, and he talked about the corporate culture. A question from Yoshioka-san. So having this unique corporate culture, how in product production, product development, and in communication with your customers, how do you utilize this? And in addition, from me, so the fans and events like the Cho Utage, they're really famous. There are even events that were planned by the fans, not just planned by the company. And he talked about entertainment several times. But competitive strategy-wise, is that really creating value? I'm sorry for the nasty question, and Yoshioka-san's question is a good question. So the culture and the product development and the branding and the customers, how are they all fitting together? But I was wondering, is entertainment really important? So they fit. In the video, Ide-san explained, and it was very easy to understand. And probably, regarding the second half of the question, if Yahoo, as a beer company, to sell their product, that's the beer, if these events were only promotion, then I think your question would be a viable one. But the relationship is the other way. So Yahoo wants to provide happiness and entertainment, and in their daily lives, they want to provide happiness. So they do not see it as a way to sell beer. They're just choosing beer as a way to provide this happiness. So there's no mistake. These events, the events are actually their true business. That is the mainstay of their business. And that's their strength. No mistake. But having said so, things like events, this is the super party, cho utage, things like that that are very famous. But there are things in daily life that they are doing that are truly amazing. One thing that amazed me, I'd like to share this with you. In the Antarctic, there is a customer who is part of the exploration team. And this person, they probably have an annual contract. He's an e-commerce fan and he buys Yahoo's beer and drinks it. However, he has to go to the Antarctic to explore. So he said he wanted to stop being a member in the middle of the year. He contacted Yahoo and Yahoo received that request and said, normally they would say, okay, you don't want to be a member anymore. And they would discontinue the contact. However, this company started to communicate with the fan and said, why do you want to discontinue? Well, actually, I have to go to the Antarctic to explore. And Yahoo heard this. And they didn't just talk about how to cancel the contract, they asked when he was leaving. And to customers who are going to somewhere far away, they gave them a gift of pale ale. So from Nagano, where they work, they went all the way with beer, Yona Yona ale, to see him off. And as a promotion, I'm sure they were losing money with this. But this is their true business. This is the main part of their business. So it's an accumulation of things like this. And what Ide-san was saying, there are these connections and good spirals up. Thank you. So having fun in their daily life. And I understand there are puns as well. So ale. Oh, sorry. In Japanese, ale stands for the name of a beer and also cheering people on. Let's go on to the next question. We have a question in English as well from Viola. And in Japanese, lots of similar questions from Watanabe-san, Yuki-san. And regarding the growth strategy, we have related questions. In particular, regarding Yahoo, craft beer is their positioning. So there are the 5 big beer manufacturers, and then craft beer are a new entrant. When people hear craft beer, they think it's small scale and it's made at breweries, not factories. So there's this kind of edgy image. And when they want to grow, will they not become a commodity? Will their edginess not become more blunted? So the questioner is worried about this. What do you think? If earlier on, there's overlap with the answer to the first question, but if they were selling a product, craft beer, then yes, we would be worried about that. For example, there are some very edgy Japanese sake manufacturers, so it's their rarity that makes them valuable, and their business goes well. So you can never buy this, or you have to ask a person with connections to get hold of it. That rarity is value. So if that were their selling point, that would be a problem. But in the case of Yahoo, at the risk of being repetitive, the craft beer experience is what they are selling. So if the market gets larger, if there are more customers, if the scale gets larger, this is not a threat to their business. If the customers, it's not going to make the customers not recognize their value. Of course, if Yahoo in the future, are they going to overtake the big manufacturers in scale? No, that's not going to happen. So, to give you the image, in the US, there's the band called the Grateful Dead. And they created a community of fans, and they held these great live shows, and they sell CDs as well. And, of course, there are other artists who sell more CDs, but the intenseness of their community was unparalleled. So, having more fans is pretty much 100% something positive. Thank you. The Grateful Dead. Yeah, I don't understand some of your examples. Well, people who understand will understand. I need to study more. Okay, the third question. You talked about expanding scale. Has really no contradictions with craft beer, or rather than craft beer, what they do is they provide entertainment, so it's okay. So for them, so one of the unique ways of expanding their scale was they asked Kirin Brewery to do their manufacturing on consignment, so they can grow without extra investments. That's wonderful. So if you hold a big factory yourself, you have to worry about the capacity and the rate of operation, and then you tend to go after selling more volume. So how is this? But having said so, making internally means that you will have better manufacturing skills, you have a higher degree of freedom. There'll be lots of positive points in making in-house. But why do they continue to consign outside? This is a question from an anonymous person, but from Kirin's viewpoint, they're like providing advantages to the competition. Kirin is very keen about selling their craft beer, so they want to sell their own Kirin craft beer, but now they are helping out a competitor. So what's the motivation for Kirin Brewery to help Yahoo? Well, from Kirin's perspective, of course, compared to their own beer, the scale of Yahoo's beers are much smaller, and constantly they have a beer factory that they have invested in, and it's not going to be 100% operational all the time. So for the Kirin side, they have fixed assets, and they want to use those assets, which means that this contract is meaningful. And from Yahoo's perspective, this consignment of manufacturing, we need to think about this from two aspects. One is, in the video, Ide-san was saying, they were growing so fast back then, thinking about their funds. They could not suddenly build their own factory overnight. In the future, they may have their own factory, but for the time being, they wanted to consign to an outside party. So that was their phase, and that was their decision. So if their scale continues to grow, and if they have a stable market, then manufacturing in-house may be an option. But that's going to incur heavy investments. So as the second answer, if they have those resources, then should they spend those resources for in-house manufacturing? Or, based on their company strategy, should they spend those resources on something else? When you think about that, probably, I think the right answer is spending the resources on something else. Now, I am a layperson. This is a layman's opinion, but if I wanted to make a big investment in the future, their beers have a lot of fans and this kind of cultural atmosphere. So providing a place, this may be post-COVID-19, but I would make a beer pub, a place where you can enjoy their beer. So I think they should spend the money to do that. So the Yona Yona Beer Works, there's an official beer restaurant. There are 8 of them, only in Tokyo, that's right. And the Yona Yona community. So depending on the beer, they have a lot of variety in their beer. So depending on the beer, the fans differ. And to match each concept, if there are restaurants or pubs where they can enjoy the beer, right now it may be difficult, but in the future, this may be an option. So after the lockdowns are over. So could you please summarize in a nutshell about Yahoo? So in the past 10 years, 15 years in manufacturing, in the future, it's going to be events rather than things. Many companies are saying this, but companies that can truly rid themselves of products. Now, which company has been able to do that? I think the answer is Yahoo. And the days of high economic growth are over, so it's not market expansion, it's intensifying the market. That's important, creating an intense community. and turning that into profits. In this new era, for manufacturing, I think they are a model case. So with that, let's wrap it up about Yahoo.
The last one is Rakuten Bank, so please watch the video. The uniqueness of Rakuten Bank compared to other internet banks. I am the president of Rakuten Bank. My name is Nagai. Well, Rakuten Bank is an internet bank, and especially we are providing a wide range of services to our customers. I believe that's the greatest characteristics. For example, in deposits, we have ordinary deposit, time deposit, foreign currency deposit, and structured deposit using derivatives. In money transfer, we have domestic remittance, overseas remittance, remittance using email addresses only, and also remittances through Facebook accounts. On loans, we have card loans and housing loans, education loan, and also loans for English conversation classes. We also sell public lottery and soccer lottery called Toto. Or we also, if you are interested in publicly managed competitive sports, we also have some transfer services for that. So we have these wide ranges of services. And all these services are being provided by one single Rakuten Bank app. It's a smartphone app. So this is the second characteristic. Some banks have apps for different functions, but we have just one app which handles all these services. And that's the concept of our app development. Another big characteristic could be that we are a member of the Rakuten Group. The Rakuten Group has a customer base of 100 million people, and we are utilizing that customer basis for our business. So that is why we can reach out to our customers at a very low cost, and because we have the Rakuten name, customers will trust us. You have higher deposit interest rates and lower mortgage interest rate than your competitors. How can you achieve and maintain this price competitiveness? Well, Rakuten Bank, first of all, is providing very convenient services to our customers, and we want to provide that at a cost so that customers can gain a value for their cost. So I believe for these two things, cost competitiveness is very important. Value for cost. Well, on our side, our operating cost, we want to maintain that as low as possible so that we can provide services at a very low cost to our customers. And the driving force behind this is that we are an internet bank. We don't have branches, brick-and-mortar branches. We don't. And the number of bank clerks compared to traditional banks is the number is very low. So that's why we can keep our costs very low. And if you look at this industry, many banks do have this same concept, but if you look at other internet banks, their expense ratio is quite high. So the internet bank concept itself is to keep the cost low, but you need to have a certain scale, or else you would not be able to gain the economy of scale. We already are at a scale where we can attain this economy of scale. And also, the systems, we don't rely on vendors to develop them. We do the developments in-house. Our employees control that. And therefore, that's why we can maintain the low cost and we can be very flexible and in developing our system. And that's also another reason why we have very low operation cost. And continuously, we are asking our employees to bring their ideas together, to look at each process, try to streamline it so that we can lower the cost even further. We are doing this on a daily basis, and because of that, probably compared to other banks, our business operation cost is very low, and we are able to provide value for cost, very high value at a low cost to our customers. How was the group synergy within Rakuten Group generated? Well, Rakuten Group has all kinds of services. So the Rakuten Group has a customer base of 100 million people. As I said earlier, 100 million people have registered under Rakuten Group, and we are utilizing that customer basis. And for that, we are gaining customers from other Rakuten businesses. For example, Rakuten marketplace users, we approach them and ask them to open up a bank account with Rakuten Bank. And we say that for customers using the Rakuten card, we say that if you have a bank account with us, that will provide more convenience. So once a customer opens a bank account with us, we might recommend Rakuten Securities, or maybe ask them to buy books at Rakuten Books. So between businesses, we are sending customers back and forth in order to create synergy. Secondly, between businesses, we are cooperating and collaborating to create new services. For example, with Rakuten Securities, if a customer wants to buy stocks or investment trusts, they don't have to transfer funds from their bank accounts to the securities account. We make it simple for the customers. They just need to place orders, and we will handle the transfer of funds. So that kind of service is being provided. And this is because the bank and the securities company is cooperating in order to create new value, to provide new services to our customers. And the synergy within the group, in order to create synergy, the important point is we are using Rakuten Point for our marketing, and the customer data that Rakuten Group has is being utilized for our marketing. So whatever service customers use, the customers will be able to gain Rakuten Point, and that can be used at the bank or at the Rakuten market. So by having this kind of system, customers in their daily life can utilize all kinds of Rakuten service. They can see more value in utilizing our service. And that is actually spreading the user basis of Rakuten service. And through this, we are gaining a large amount of customer data, and within the framework of the law, we are utilizing this data and we are recommending new services to customers so that we can increase the synergy effect within the services and companies within the group. How do you plan to approach customers outside of your group? What are your future plans? The Rakuten Group has about 100 million customers registered, which means that a large portion of the Japanese population are Rakuten members. So in that sense, we don't really have to reach out to customers outside of the Rakuten Group. However, when we look at the customers' behaviors, even among Rakuten members, we have the heavy users and we have users who use us every now and then. For these users, the Rakuten Bank ads may not be viewed on Rakuten sites. Rather, they may view the ads in sites outside of the Rakuten Group, and maybe that would be more effective in terms of advertisement. So therefore, for customers outside of the Rakuten Group, We consider SEO, search engine optimization, so that we will be ranked high when customers search us. We are using outside ads, internet ads, display ads, and affiliated ads. One other very important thing is word of mouth. We want customers who are using our services recommend us to their family members and their friends. Rakuten Bank is really convenient, they might say to their families or friends. And since we are being recommended by people they trust, they might want to use us and try us. So in that sense, we are hoping that our customers will recommend us to their friends and families. And in the end, that will help us reach out to customers outside of the Rakuten Group. So that's our marketing. But the most important point here is that we provide services that are more convenient and more valuable than any other. And if we can do that, customers within the Rakuten Group or customers outside of the Rakuten Group would want to use us. The Rakuten Bank reminds us of Alibaba and Tencent. What is the main difference? That is a very difficult question. Maybe the future goal or the final goals are the same. But when you think of Alibaba and Tencent, they were originally an IT company that made entrance into the banking industry. We at Rakuten, yes, Rakuten started out as an IT company, and that company made entry into the financial industry. But on the other side, we have people who were working in the financial services area, gain knowledge and experience in the IT area, and are providing financial services. So within Rakuten Group, we have a large number of people who worked in the financial sector. And from their perspective, they have this financial background, they have knowledge, and they learned IT technology, and they are using that in business. So that is what's happening in Rakuten Bank, and I believe that is the major difference. For our financing business, especially the banking business, yes, we do compete with services, but the most important point is risk management and compliance. If you start with IT and then come into the financial business, sometimes it's very difficult for people to understand this importance. But we truly understand the importance, and we are just maximizing the use of IT for our business so that we can provide better services for our customers. So that is the thinking of Rakuten. So thank you very much. That was Rakuten Bank. So Professor Osono, questions please? Yes, we do have a lot of questions from Shiori-san. So there are a lot of electric settlements, PayPay commercials we see frequently here in Japan, but these electric settlement services, what are the differences between that and Rakuten Bank, and what is Rakuten Bank's strength? Well, the answer is actually simple. Rakuten Bank is a bank. They are a bank. And as one part of the service that they are providing is this settlement. So that's not the main part of their business. They are providing a lot of banking services, and that's just one part of that. Internet banking, many internet banks are out there, but Rakuten is very unique because they are not a second bank. They position themselves as a first bank. So they don't have any branches. They only exist online. That's different from the traditional banks, but they are a bank, period. So that's the main difference. And so they are at the core of our daily lives. That's what you mean by first bank. Yes. So there are a lot of different banking services, but that's all being handled by Rakuten Bank. So for example, when it's not net banking because you are trading and transaction is occurring on the internet, Rakuten Bank has a very high loan provision. So they understand what the customers need, and they provide loans. So they have a high loan deposit ratio. And so they are doing this online so they can reduce the cost. And so the burden on the user side becomes less and less. And so they are quick in finding new service areas. And also they are providing loans and lending money just like traditional banks. So Rakuten Bank has really grown very rapidly. They have the largest number of accounts among other internet banks. Koko-san is asking, well, the customers, are they coming from within the Rakuten Group or from the outside of Rakuten Group? And the approach to the outside of the group? It seems to be the interest of this questioner, but within the Rakuten economic bloc, should I say, they are having a great success. But 100 million members, actually active users are about 300,000. So if it were you, where would you focus on the next growth? Well, it's not just banking, but all other services are being provided by many. And many people talk about containing customers and also about cross-selling. Everybody talks about that, but just to think about it, if you said, I'm going to contain you, customers will not say, oh, thank you. Containment is about the business side. Customers don't want that. So you have to provide something convenient to the customers. You have to provide value to the customers, or else customers will not move. And within the Rakuten economic zone, should I say, so they provide points to the users, and they provide clear advantages to the users, and because of that, they are able to contain their customers. And I think that's the unique strength of Rakuten. So they talked about sending customers from one business to another. That's the cross-sell part. But in other banks, within the financial services, they can only expand into insurance or to securities. But in Rakuten, they are covering the whole of our daily life. For example, Rakuten Travel. So they can cross-sell to many different areas of our daily life. They have that potential. So outside of the Rakuten Group, outside of the Rakuten economic zone, rather than reaching out there, they can focus on the light users within their sphere. And I believe that's important for their near future growth. And also how they capture customers. Actually, they are gaining very young customers, which means they will become much more active in economy. ordinary banks will usually focus on the mid to higher aged group, but Rakuten is focusing on the young people, and I believe that's another characteristic. The third question is from Koyuki-san, and she has been sending in a lot of questions. Thank you very much. Yes, I understand about the interest rate, and you have points, which is a kind of discount that's very understandable, but what's different, what's better? How does Rakuten Bank differentiate themselves from other banks? And within Rakuten Group, it's understandable that they have this synergy within the group, but if you focus on the banking business, setting synergies aside, but as an internet bank, the difference from others, it seems very difficult to differentiate from other internet banks. But what is the uniqueness of Rakuten Bank as an internet bank? I think that's a very good question. The convenience, the value, the higher the interest rates that are better. That's not different, but it's just better. And that's just what we see on the surface. Rakuten's strategy is great because because they have something on the other side where we can't see. They have different activities. And I believe is the in-house system development. They have engineers within the company, quite a large number of them. And so the UI and others are all created by these engineers, which is quite different from other competitors. So in terms of convenience, in the case of Rakuten Bank, you have just one smartphone app to do everything. It's very easy to use. And so they have a lot of things that they can use. They are testing what customers liked, what customers thought were convenient, and they are looking at data to improve things. And that's possible because they have engineers within the company, and they are able to do that very agilely at a low cost. And so I think this is something that all Japanese companies should learn from. So we often talk about DX. Digital transformation is going to be key for all companies. But then what kind of system, what kind of technology should they introduce? When it comes to this question, many companies would just throw the question at the vendors and rely on them. Japanese companies have been criticized for doing everything in-house. But for IT and digital, it seems that many companies are relying on outside vendors. They are doing everything that the vendors tell them to do. And they don't have the digital transformation within their own strategies. But as an internet banking company, digital and use of system is at the core of their competitiveness. So it means that they have really invested heavily in this part to develop human resources for this. And so I think essentially that is the key, and that's what other companies should learn from Rakuten Bank. So then your wrap-up on Rakuten Bank? Well, I think this is common among all the winners this year, but what they do and what they don't do, the focus of the strategy is really, really clear. And Professor Porter has been clear about this point, but Rakuten is one such example. Ever since the internet was created, everybody was focusing on the possibility of internet banking. But they are an exclusive internet bank, and they are doing everything possible on the internet. And I think They have a great strategy that is really befitting of a Porter Prize winner. So that was about Rakuten Bank. And actually, that's the end of the introduction of all the strategies of the winners this year.